Hi, good evening. My name is Alicia James, and I am the visionary and the president of the PAM Project. PAM stands for Preserve a Mom. And the PAM Project is a social enterprise that advocates and promotes maternal mental wellness for mothers of color. Today, we're going to have a personal one-on-one conversation with Tamika Newhouse, who is an author and a producer, an entrepreneur from Atlanta. Um, we are happy to have her to share her story today about her mental health and her journey to wellness. This conversation came about because July is BB Campbell's National Minority Mental Health Month. The reason why I'm mentioning her name is because BB Campbell, who is now deceased, was a pioneer in advocating for minority mental health in the United States. She published two books, and I just want to make sure I mention the names correctly. The two books that she published was one is called Sometimes My Mommy Gets Angry, and the other book is entitled 7 Hour Hold. Her work and advocacy for mental health for the Black community, for communities of color, was so much so that it was put in place to name July after her and her memory and her work and advocacy work for mental health. And so with this month, we want to really push the conversation of mental health and make sure that communities of color, the Black community, especially now during this pandemic, that we are in tune with our mental health, that we are vocal about what our needs are, and that we get what we need to be mentally well and to heal. As many people are struggling across the country with their health, their mental health, dealing with the loss of loved ones. And close friends who have passed away due to this virus, is more important than ever before that we reel in our resources and connect with close friends and family and be as vocal as possible about our mental health status. And that we also use this time to shatter the stigma in our communities and get what we need. And what I mean by that is seek professional help if you need so. There is no shame in hiring or utilizing your insurances to um, connect with private therapists or professional therapists. I'm sorry, and making sure that what you believe to be tired or just stress is not just that it could be something else. And in order for you to know that, you are going to have to be strong in saying, I need help. And sometimes that may come in terms of, again, connecting with a therapist. It may be you have to start changing a lifestyle and how you do things. But whatever it is, we at this point in our lives need to be more vocal about saying we need help. And this actually is the new strong in admitting that you need what you need to be well and thrive, not just for yourself, but also for your loved ones and for your family, for your children. So, again, as I mentioned, we are very fortunate to have today a mom who has been transparent and wanting to share her experiences. And I hope that this conversation will encourage others to be more transparent also with getting the help that they need. And there's no shame in that. And also to shatter the stigma in terms of um, hiding behind the mask and feeling as if you're going to be judged or if you're going to be looked at as less than by sharing your vulnerabilities, right? And so I happened to learn about Tamika through social media, and she was very transparent when sharing a post about her journey. And I wanted to invite her to publicly share, and so hoping that being the leader that she is and the entrepreneur that other people can see and be inspired by her story. So I'm going to bring her in now to join the conversation. Hi, how are you?
Howdy. I'm great. How are you?
Trying to stay cool. It's trying to stay cool. Hold on one second. Something's on my glasses.
Oh, I know the feeling. I was just doing that just now, trying to make sure I got all of this together.
Yeah, let me just fix this better. Okay, that's much better. Okay. So I was just sharing, I don't know if you were able to hear that even when I was promoting that July is National Minority Mental Health Month, the proper name is BB Campbell National Minority Mental Health Month. I lost you for a minute. And
Okay.
it's so important that we acknowledge the work that we as Black women are doing. And she was a pioneer. I don't know if you were aware that she
I
died.
wasn't. I learned some. I learned something new tonight. I did. I know
Yeah,
that her daughter has publicly struggled with it, and I know that she also has a story with it. But I did not know as far as
her
how she
mom.
or to bring awareness for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the government, I think it went into effect 2007. I think she might have had already passed from cancer, but
Right.
the month was in honor of her advocacy work for mental health in our community. And I just mentioned before you got on the two books that were published where they were focused solely on mental health in our communities. And so just want to make
Yeah.
sure we get our accolades whenever we can for
Yeah.
the work that we do and for our community and that benefits everyone. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit before we get into your story and just, pat yourself in the back and talk about you and the work that you're doing, and then we'll go into your story. So tell us more about um, you. I was very honored to have met you, I think 4 years ago at the Circle of Sisters, and you were promoting your mini books.
Yes.
But I know you have a very intensive journey with your entrepreneurship and the many hats that you wear. So you want to just toot your own horn for a few minutes and
Well,
tell us?
yeah, I think I can do that a little bit. I think I can, tell you a little something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, and in some, I am. I began to kind of manifest this dream or this idea of living the life of a full time authoress, as I used to call it, since I was 12 years old. I had
Okay.
this idea of living in Atlanta. I told my mother this even then that I saw myself living here. And I was in a cafe or some type of coffee shop and I was just typing and writing away. And it was weird because we didn't have laptops then. So for me to and then I didn't drink coffee. I hated coffee. So why am I in a coffee shop? And so I was a very spiritual child. And so when I saw that, it was like it was just in me. I just knew it was something that was coming. And I told my
Mhm.
mother, that's where I'm gonna go, that's where I'm gonna be. That's I'm gonna write books and I'm gonna live in Atlanta because that's where black folks went and thrive.
Okay.
And in some I made my own dreams come true.
Okay.
When I was 20, I put the steps into motion to self-publish my book 1 year after my mother passed. And with the self-publishing that book, I launched an independent publishing company named Delphine Publications, which is named after her. And
Okay.
at 21, this was my second company, by the way, though. So by 21, I had my second company. My first was this international digital book club, which still is present today.
Okay.
And so fast forward to that. So basically, I write books. I have a digital book club that has helped launch the careers of so many writers and creatives that you know today, not just in publishing, but also in film, in art and music. I've done a lot of curating of experiences around our stories for over 10 years. And those experiences could be parties, socials, artist talks, panels, some type of exhibit. And I've been loving to bring on these conversations in person because I feel like celebrating us. I
Right.
felt like that was like a wow factor to me. I
Right.
was blown away when I was 20 launching my book club, discovering hundreds of Black writers. And I thought that that was very odd that I didn't know that hundreds of us were writing. That was just
Right.
unheard of. And it wasn't even just televised. It wasn't celebrated. It wasn't talked about. It was nothing. And of course, in film, you have your standard Black screenwriters, your standard Black directors, and it was just nothing that we weren't, creating and building, breaking down doors and things like that. And so I wanted to be the one to help writers break down those doors, and I've been doing that now for over 12 years through publishing, through brand management, through event curation, through productions. So yeah, so that's a little bit about what I do.
Wow, impressive. So let me ask you, you said that you named your company after your mom, right?
Yes, Delphine, yes.
And so she passed away a year before you launched the business?
Yeah, about a year and a half. Yes, I was 20 years old. I just turned 20 actually when she passed. Um, she suffered from diabetes and a lot of, they call it the Black folks disease. We
Right,
had this mentality that Black folks just get overweight. We just prone to get high blood pressure, but it really is down to a lifestyle. We can
right,
dive into, even if we go into systemic racism, we can just go to the systemic process of how we ate the things that we fed our bodies because that's all we could afford, or that's what we were given, or that's what we were taught, et cetera, et cetera. And we made, lemons out of lemonade, sort of say,
right.
with the bad food. And my mother was one of those that fell to that, that stigma, that stereotype. And she passed in front of me when I was 20 years old. Me, my sister, my godmother. She took her last breath with
Oh
us.
my God.
And yeah, that kind of changed my dynamic after that. Nothing else could really hurt my feelings after that. I was
Yeah.
like,
But that
yeah.
must have really taken a toll on you. I will. This is unique that you're saying you named your business after your mom. So my mom's name was Pam.
Hey, okay.
So we honor
Okay.
our mom. We honor the memory of our
I honor
mothers.
my mother with that. And I have two companies named after her, Delphine Legacy Media, because everything that I put out is about building a legacy. It's about manifesting your own legacy. So not
Right,
only am I living out mine, I'm helping others identify their own legacies. And
right.
I wanted people to speak my mother's name every day because the person that she was, like in real life, I can't tell
I
you
feel
one
that. I feel
person
that.
that didn't like her. I can't even tell you one person that can say something bad about her. She was just that person. And
Right.
I aspired to be that person, but I'm not as built as strong as her. And then the world is different these days, but she was just that person. Yeah.
I want to just speak to that when you say strong. I think that we as a community, we as Black women, the word strong has been, we've used it as a banner for a long time.
Yep.
I think we've had to change um, the word strong, right?
Yeah.
Because we, in a lot of cases, we had to be quote unquote strong because we were subjected to a lot of, and still subjected to a lot of things where we had to push through. But then it shows up in the worst ways in terms of our
It
health,
does. In
right?
terms of my health, in
And
terms of our mental
right.
health. Yeah.
And so
In terms of our heart,
yeah,
our heart
all of that,
ages
all of that.
quicker. And it deals with it's a lot of different layers to why Black women are built the way they are. It could be from the lack of support from the Black man. He's not in the house, or it could be for the most part now that is the biggest issue. Like a Black man missing in the house, it messes up a lot of different things, or maybe not just like two parents, like some type of partnership. Really, it derails a lot of people's mental health because when you put so much on one person, when they have
Right,
to do everything, and I mean everything,
right.
and then they have to survive doing that. They don't get a chance to cry. They don't get a chance to say, I'm not happy or I just want to break. And so, as you stated, it comes out in other ways.
Right.
And we're walking around, quote unquote, like they call us angry or whatever the case may be, because sometimes we just tired or we're frustrated, and maybe we do know that something is wrong, but do we have the time? Sometimes we don't even take the time or carve out the time for that piece. We'll go out with girlfriends, we'll go on a date,
Mm-hmm.
we'll take long baths, or we'll shut ourselves in a room, drink some alcohol, roll up a blunt, or things like we don't do this necessary thing, which is bathe your mind, talk with someone, which is like, it could be a therapist, it could be an overseer, it could be a pastor, or someone, of a spiritual sense. But you got this part, whatever it is, it's going that would help you move forward. It could
Right.
be daily meditation, daily prayers, it could be daily runs, but you have to find something to purge you. We're
Well, I
not
want to
machines.
speak to, yeah, I want to speak to that. I want to just roll back a little bit because you said something that I'm seeing comments on the side. Someone said so true. Um, I think, with the PAM Project advocating for Black mothers and their mental health during this time with this pandemic, it's when you really get to see who's in your village, whether
Yeah,
you are whether you're a single parent or you have your spouse with you. Sometimes people that are married don't have supportive spouses. So
yeah,
you can have, um, a husband with you in the home and still the weight is on one shoulder, right? And also during this time, the numbers of domestic violence
it's
has
going up. Yeah,
skyrocketed so
yeah,
high. And so I definitely feel that regardless if you have a partner in the home or not, it's really important to really examine what does your village look like?
yep,
What does your support system look like? Right? And so one of the things I've been promoting with this all week is that our testimonies have the power to heal. And so we know from our community when you talk about testimonies, people in front of the church or they stand up and they start saying how God has helped them or they prayed for this and this
yeah,
happened or that happened. And so today I really want people to understand and learn about your testimony because my heart was so filled when I read your post on Facebook. And it was so filled because I know that it can inspire somebody else to be strong in the sense of seeking help they need.
right,
Because as you pointed out before, I was a single mother for a very long time with my son. My son is now 23. And you don't have time to pause. You got stuff to do. You juggling multiple things. And if you're also a parent, you're a caregiver to your parent. If you're
yep,
an entrepreneur, you're wearing multiple hats and you're trying to make sure things don't fall between the cracks. And a lot of times you also are the go-to person in
yeah,
your circle. And so you're looking around for who can you go to for support to help all those things go in sync and not fall apart. And a lot of times you don't have that person. Or the people that you thought were your support system are not as supportive as you need them to be. And this pandemic is really showing people um, who's doing lip service and who really is
yeah.
supportive.
Who's
So
about who's really there for you?
yeah,
I, yeah.
who's really there for you. So I want to go backwards and talk about I don't remember word verbatim about what you post on your page, but I believe it was a year ago that things shifted in your life in terms of with your mental health. So can you just walk us through and tell us how you got to the point of where you are now, where you are aware of your diagnosis?
I became aware of, well, first and foremost, I am living with bipolarism and depression, and
Okay.
I deal with I manage my diagnosis without medication. Um, and it's funny that you mentioned even COVID, because I have um, purposely worked on designing the life that I've wanted for years now, and it hasn't been easy. I learned of, well, for me, it began to not make sense about 6, 7 years ago, maybe six
Okay.
years ago. I knew that it was something more than just, I'm just sad, because it got to the point where even if nothing was wrong, I was just it was very heavy. I was very sad, and I've experienced trauma after trauma, from losing my mother to losing several family members. I was burying someone every 6 months. Then I was a mother very young. Um, and then when I became married, I got married very young, and it wasn't the most healthy relationship in every single way. And so during that process, I really didn't have a time to kind of just pause and take a breather, until I began to, maybe 6 years ago, I ended up in a psychiatric ward. And how this happened was, um, I reached a emotional low, to the point
Okay.
where I didn't want to be here. Like, I was tired. It was like, ugh, I was like, life is just hard, and I was doing a lot of things, and I had accomplished my dreams and my goals so early on, and everything was just a rush all at once. And this one particular summer, I was broken all the way down. Like, it was to the point where, um, I tried, different measures and tactics just to just end it all. And when I ended up in this psychiatric center, and they wouldn't let me go home, I was to the point where, okay, I don't like this, because now I don't have control. Because
Right.
either I'm going to be here again, I'm going to be end up staying longer, or I'm going to actually get, do the job and actually not be here next time. I'm going to actually complete the mission. So, which one do I want to do? I always talk about being happy, dreaming out loud, pursuing your dreams. Like, I'm always encouraging people to do that, because I've seen life be taken away. I've seen the
Hmm.
very last breath. I've seen what it's like for someone to be here, and to the next moment they're gone. I've seen for everything to be taken away from you, and life is short. So be happy, and find that happiness in whatever way. And in the midst of me trying to discover my happiness, I met people along the way that just weren't good for me.
Right.
And remind you, I had to navigate through my adulthood without a mother figure, without any type of overseers. I'm having to figure this shit out on my. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having to figure life out on my
No, no,
own.
no. Don't be sorry. I want to just say something. Go back a little bit because with the attempts of suicide, were you vocal to anybody? Was there anyone in your circle in your life that you were communicating with? That
Yeah, I
that's
have, my best friend that had moved to Atlanta around the same time as me. She saw the things I was experiencing behind the scenes. I had a very um just this dysfunctional marriage that I was in, that I really needed to get out of. And then on top of that, on the outside, I'm Tamika Newhouse. I'm when I walk into a room that deals with the industry, I'm dominating that room. I'm known in that room. I've been able to reach highs, and discover, and do all these great things as a writer. And
right,
I'm living out my dreams and stuff. I'm doing shit. Like, I'm supposed to be happy and basking in the hard work that I'm able to accomplish at a very young age. By 23, I was making six figures. I was dropping out of school. I was, launching this and launching that. I was traveling here and traveling. Then I was able to take my children with me. I felt like, why can't this? Why can I get this together? Um, and it was a lot of different things in my past that I would just get angry about, or that triggered me. And then when I attempted to love, it was wrong, it didn't feel right, or it was heavy, and it would add more into this. And I was just
right,
tired of the cycle. I was just tired of meeting people or connecting with people. And then when you in the type of world I was in the industry, it was almost like Hollywood. So I'm meeting all these artificial folks, and I'm
mm-hmm,
seeing a different type of lifestyle. And I'm like, Lord, I said I want to write books. Like, I'm supposed to be just be writing books and sitting in the cafe and fulfilling that. But I did more than what I had imagined. But now I'm in a world that is foreign, and I'm around people who I don't even really know. People are opportunists, and people, you know,
superficial.
superficial. Is just, how am I supposed to balance that? And so I have a bubble of friends. So I have maybe like a close 5 or 6 or so friends who see different parts of me when I'm going
Right.
through my. So I do have friends that know I experience these lows, and when I go quiet or I go away, they'll reach out and they'll call, "Hey, you doing good?" Things like that. They know I'll go into my shell like a little turtle. And then in that moment, I reached out to my friend, one of my closest best friends, and let her know. I don't know what I had said, but I told her it was it. I was done. Something I said over the phone to her, made her come out to me, and she came to my house,
Thank
and
God.
she found me in that state, and I was admitted to the hospital, and they wouldn't let me go home. So
How old were your children at this time?
my children were, ooh, Lord. See, now we having to remember these things. Like we having to really kind of strategically
No, that's
remember.
it.
All my years meshed together, unfortunately. That's when
Okay.
I really kind of started, realizing that something isn't right, because I don't even remember half of my pregnancy with my son. I don't remember a lot of days, a lot of time periods, and things would just be a dark, and I'll just be in an autopilot, just going with the motions. I'm
Right.
here and I'm present, but I'm not. So my children were probably a 12. My daughter was maybe about 12 or so, 11 or 12, not quite a teenager. And my son was probably like 8, 7 or 8. So they were still pretty young. And I
Yeah.
was dealing with, I was dealing with a lot because I had young children. I really couldn't just tell them everything that was going on. And then because they
Absolutely.
didn't know what was all going on, I got blamed by my children for a lot of things because they were just confused and they were in the dark. So,
Because they don't understand. I think that the reason why I asked about the age of your children and everything that you were going through, and your plate was heavy, very heavy. Um, there was this a situation with Mariah Carey a couple of years ago before she publicly shared that she suffered from with bipolar, lives with bipolar. I think she was in this movie, and her that flopped, and then her album that came out that
yeah.
flopped, and so she signed herself in um, she was suffering from exhaustion. That's how she put it. And I never forget this comedian, Samore, made a joke about it and
Mm.
said, if that was a black woman, we wouldn't have time to be clocking out. Who gonna watch our kids? Who gonna pay the bills? And she was making fun of it. And at the same time, that same mindset is why we don't
And why we don't go
pause
seek and
and take
pause
care of
for help.
ourselves, because we're thinking, I can't take care of myself and do that because I got this and this. Who gonna watch my kids? Who gonna pay the bills? And not gonna do it right. I'm gonna be labeled as a bad mother or all
Yep.
these things. And so we just keep
We just
pushing
keep
through.
going and going and going and going. And then eventually
Yeah.
we can't just go no more. And for some reason, I'm not built like my big mama, and I'm not built like my mama.
Mm-hmm.
And then my daughter is not built like me. So I'm seeing a trend here. And I'm like, at some point, when we gonna get some healing going on? Because
Right.
it's some conversations needs to be had. I didn't grow up being hugged. We didn't really show, affection in that way. We were just hard workers, and we respect the rules, and we helped and we did our part, and that's how we show love. That's how we do that. Mama loved us because, like she's doing everything. Like we don't have, even though we didn't have much. I never went hungry. There may be a couple times our lights went off, but they was on probably the next day or the day after that. Um, I may have not got new clothes. I remember, like, I grew up getting clothes that my sisters wore before me, to where
Right.
like my clothes is out of date about 5, 7 years, but it was new
Mm-hmm.
to me, and I was
Right.
excited to wear my new outfit. My kids today, oh my gosh, and I know it's probably my fault, but my kids
They would
don't even
call the authorities on
understand.
you.
Right. Like I be like, I never got anything new.
Neglect.
Right. I never got nothing new. I didn't get on a plane until I put myself on it. I didn't taste this type of food until I went and I was able to go purchase it for myself. Like I don't even have a mama. Mine is gone. And I be
Right.
trying to get my children to be like, hello, what's going on up there? It's way
Gratitude.
more things that you can be mad at me about. Like I could
Right.
really be a horrible mama, other than sometimes I yell and I get on that ass when that grades is not up to par. The room is not clean. Just like regular stuff.
Right. Right.
Regular stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's I so again, that was the reason why I wanted to share that, because we keep pushing through, and it shouldn't take us to the point where our body physically makes us
Yeah. Sit
stop,
down.
right? And so when you were admitted, explain, like, how did you, they communicated with you, the therapist, or what you were living with, or you were going through. How was that mentally for you to accept that?
Well, when I was talking to the doctor in the hospital, and they have to interview us and see where our brain is at, how we feeling and stuff, to release us or not, or to keep us. And I was just honest with them, because this is not the first time. This is just the first time I got caught.
Right.
So I know there's something wrong, Mr. Sir, but I'm not like these other people. It's I'm not a danger. Um and I'm aware of what's going on, and how I feel, and what I'm doing. I just don't know how to technically fix it. And I see that this isn't it. It's not the option. This isn't the way. Because honestly, if I didn't want to be here, I really wouldn't be here. I would have just did it, and I would have and been successful with that. So basically, I was just honest with him. And when he let me go home, I took it upon myself to get me a therapist. And I've been in therapy now for 6 years. It's the
Okay.
most consistent relationship I've had. Um, just this past month, uh,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm about to transition to a life coach, because now my therapist, she's going back to get her doctorate degree, to get her PhD. So now we have to part ways. And when I say I was boohooing, I was boohooing,
Yeah.
because it's that's she knows me more than any other person. I want people to understand what therapy really is. Is no one way to go about therapy. There's nothing that you can actually say or do. There's no timeline. There's no strategy. It's really conversations to get to understand and get to know you. And
Right.
to process your reactions and your responses to that. And I think once we have a better understanding of that, people will just be a little bit more receiving to just going to go talk, just have a conversation. It's not even to say that you're wrong or to prove that somebody did you wrong. We know that something is wrong. See, we
Right.
know this. Let's process it. Let's talk about the who's, the what's, the whys, the where's, what now, and let's go through the process and the levels of grief and trauma. Like, let's deal with it. Like, head on, and
Right.
keep feeling it. Allow yourself to feel it. So
When you started receiving therapy, do you have the same therapist from the very beginning, or have a did you feel comfortable switching, or how was that? Because a lot of times, some people, when they make a decision, say, I need to see a therapist, I need help, it's a process. And so what I mean by that is, over the years with the PAM project, I've people have reached out and said, I have a therapist, I don't feel comfortable with them, they don't understand me, something feels off. And a lot of times they're, looking for a therapist of color. Not saying that a person that is not of color
right,
can't
can't
be
help. Right.
helpful, a therapist, or making a preference to a certain gender, or male or female. But did you have the same therapist from the very beginning?
I did, and I was blessed enough to kind of just. I went to a black-owned firm, like a or hospital. What you call them, agencies? It's something
Yes,
where it's a
practice.
collection. It's a group of black female and male therapists here in Atlanta, and I was lucky and enough to just to discover them. They accepted my insurance.
Great.
Um, and I've been with the same person ever since. And what's crazy is I was maybe 2 years, over 2 years in, when progress really began, for to the point where I was done. Not technically done, but I wasn't just talking anymore. I was now understanding and attempting to apply what we were talking about. And so that's what
Okay.
changed behaviors. That's with new self-care ideas and trying new things. That's with finding peace or forgiveness in certain situations I cannot control or understand.
There you
And
go.
and it's first saying it, and if you can have conversations with those people, it's for you to have conversations for yourself, not to get a response and hopefully that they say what you want to hear, because you're not.
Right.
It's really going through the process, and it was a long time before I began to identify, why I parent this way, or why I choose to date this way, or
Mm,
why, or the things that happen within my marriage, the effects that it has had, or things that have happened with my siblings, or even identifying ways my mother loved me. I just figured out another way my mother truly, truly showed her affection was through action. Like, she fed
mm-hmm.
into the things that I love. She bought me keyboards and journals, and she allowed me to sing loud with my drums and my music throughout the whole house. And
Okay.
like, she allowed me to record myself, my poetry, my songs, and I was loud. Like, our house was a box, but she allowed me just to be me.
To be you.
And yeah, just to be me. And it was things like that helped me, because again, I'm navigating through adulthood without a mother. I don't have, like, she ain't here. Even with
Right.
my other, figures, all of my grandparents passed, gone. Some of my
Mm,
closest aunts, uncles passed, gone. When I say, I know what it feels like sometimes to just be like, what the hell, Lord? Really, Lord? This is what we doing? Everybody
yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything, it's happened. I've lived through it. So
Yeah.
it took a long time. And so I want people to know that it's not a time period. You gotta find the right therapist by kind of courting them. You're starting
Yes.
a relationship. This is a relationship. It's like, do I like you enough to date you, basically?
Right.
Like, how is the energy? Do I feel safe with you? Do I feel comfortable with you? And if I don't, talk about that with the therapist. And if you guys come to an agreement that, okay, we don't work, because if a great therapist will be understanding to that, because it's not about them. They will
It's
try to
about
find
you.
a way, or they'll refer you out, and you just keep going till you find it, until you figure it out. It's all
Thank you
about
for that.
figuring it out. Yeah, it's all about figuring it out. Just keep going.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that part so people understand that it's not a quick fix
Mm-mm.
because you're investing in you,
Mm.
and it's a process, and you're in some cases you're getting to know you for the first time, as you just pointed out, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
seeing things with a different lens, in
With
terms
a
of,
different lens.
yeah,
And,
you're
and
seeing
I'm
things.
just not getting it in my 30s. I'm pretty sure even my own children, the things I want them to see and get, the way I love them, I be wanting them to really, really see. It's like I'm jumping up in the room. Pick me, put me on your team. Like, I'm really like, that's me. And they don't really like, I'm trying to be patient with that part, and still love them anyway. And I'm one of those parents where I need to know, okay, did you arrive? Okay. Send me a picture where you at. Okay, cool. All right. Call me when you leave. Okay, did you make it? Okay, great. Send me that's me. I don't know. I'm trying to let go a little bit, but I need to know my babies are okay.
Yeah, I think that is, there's no apology for that. That's what mothers do. We need to, if we can't touch you, we need to have our eyes on you.
Yep.
We some type of, so something that you had talked about. I wanted to just go back so people understand. So now that you've gotten to this place and your therapy is working for you, and you're seeing things with a new lens, and we talked briefly the other day. So tell people, what does self care look like for you now?
Ooh, self-care looks like for me is continuing my sessions. Um Also being honest with people that I choose to allow in my space. Is,
That's
is
big.
setting those yeah, is setting those boundaries early. I think we go into friendships or relationships with wanting to be liked, or letting things slide that we normally wouldn't because we just don't want to create a fuss or whatever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I'm gonna tell you. So
Yes.
being honest with people, and also being receiving, and humbling myself when people tell me about me. Like it took me a minute to get there, because if I want people to treat me a certain with kindness and understanding, I have to do it the same.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I run almost every day. Like even when we're done with this call, I'm gonna go do my 4 miles real quick. Um, what else? I do meditation a lot. I roll a blunt at least once a day. I love doing that. I may drink a glass of wine. Um, and then I still create and I'm still mentoring. I have a team of 15 individuals who are mentoring, are coaching, and they're on my team and they're helping me develop different projects. I'm also just built a writer's room where we're putting at, different projects and putting out original scripts. So I'm still utilizing my gifts and things that I love to do, and I'm being
Mm-hmm.
open minded to other things, and I'm humbling myself. I'm just I also take deeper breaths. Like I'm more calm, and then when I'm
Okay.
angry or upset, um, I choose not to yell. I just choose not to just raise unless I have to, because I don't do it normally. So it's a lot of different things that now that I'm like, it's a choice. Like when you become aware of things about you, because I know this is me. So now I find ways to counteract things that may trigger me. I
Right.
have eliminated things out of my life that I know is not going to feed into my purpose or spiritually make me stronger, mentally make me stronger. And that's people, places, things, food, all that jazz. Even
Right.
down with music. I do music therapy sometimes. So I make sure
What does that look like?
music therapy for me is well, the other day you and I talked on my walk, but normally I like to just have my music and I'll sing and dance in the street, literally.
Okay.
For me, it's fun. Sometimes I'm passing people along the way and they come in with me and we kind of just having this thing. So I like to kind of go out and spread that energy. That I really
Okay.
love doing that. And then also in my room, I may cut on my big speaker and I may just dance. I still put on my 90s gospel music and I'll just sing those old gospel music songs that I grew up on, because it still gives me that comfort that I don't physically have anymore. So I just found ways to kind of just tap into that space too.
Uh-huh.
And self care looks differently for everybody. It's like, what do you like? What do you don't like? What are some things that you aspire to be or to do? Let's tap into that a little bit. So
Right.
it's just identifying and knowing you, and you really don't know that until you spend some time with yourself. So
Very true.
even with dating, I have purposely been single for over 4 years, like not giving people too much of me. One, because I don't want to, and then two, I can't. Like if I know if I tried, it's not gonna be good for you because I'm not good, and I don't want
Mm-hmm.
no broken person loving on me. So I'm not about to be loving on you. So it's been just all about my choices, just making better choices, and
Right.
that's all. It's a daily process. I'm still not perfect. I still got some things I gotta fix, and I still got some ways to go.
But you know what? I think don't beat yourself up because you're moving intentional now, right?
Yes.
Because you're more aware of yourself and what you need that's best for you, what's best for your children, and that's important. And that you've invested a lot of time in getting the help you need and to be a better you for you, not for anybody else. Um, I wanted to speak to. I think I might have asked this before, so apologies if I did, but I'm focused on this because people need to be aware of what does your village look like now? Like, what
Oh
does your
yes.
support team look like now? Because people need to understand that, when you said about boundaries and making sure, your space and you are protected, what does your village look like to make sure that
Yeah.
what happened in the past, that the weight of the world doesn't happen again to you?
Um. You. I'm sorry, I didn't answer that. Let's see. So in a nutshell, I do have a large family still on my mother's side, but I didn't grow up close to them.
Okay.
So I built my family. I built the family that I really wanted, and they're close friends
Right.
that I've known over the past 10, 15 years or so. And or maybe within the last 5 years or so, but it's been levels to our growth and to our vulnerability with each other. So my family is built in. So and that's not technically a bad thing, because I want people to know that
No.
if your family, if you don't like your family, because again, there's a lot of people in mine I don't like, or if your family isn't on the the journey that you need to go, you can build and create the family that you want as you go along, and court and date your friends. I date my friends. I actually
Mhm.
require some time with my friends, like at least one, and I require more so than others, because so it's either we gotta meet up and go somewhere. We gotta talk on the phone. You gotta come to the house, do a smoke session, or I'm gonna come to your house and do a smoke session. Like we gotta spend our time, and those sessions and those moments are intimate, and not in
Mhm.
a sexual way, but they're intimate. Like they see me that outwardly and inwardly that people don't know. I allow them to see me if I'm down, if I'm low, if I need advice. Um, if when I'm happy, if I got good news, if I'm strategizing or thinking of something, I have those people in place now. So, so it's kind of bittersweet, but I have my village.
No, I think that is important, especially again now because of the pandemic that people really um I had shared I did April was a public health awareness month, and I was part of a panel discussion with a few entrepreneurs, and we're talking about the pandemic. And for me, my mailing list, and I have a private mom community that I do check-ins. And so, you're talking about, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing your friends to see you, and just spending quality time together. It is really important that you have those check-ins, and that people
Mm-hmm.
that you get to get your 5 minutes to say what's going on in your life, and they get their 5 minutes to say what's going on in their lives. So you do build that support system for each
Yep.
other, because you never want to wait until things are spiraling out of control, and then you need someone, and no one has been aware for a period of time, or to even witness and say, wait, I noticed a change in her behavior, or this has happened, or that has
Mm-hmm.
happened. Normally she wouldn't do this, or normally she wouldn't do that. And if you're not allowing people to get to know and see the real you, when these situations happen, they won't be aware of them. They won't see the shift in your actions and your character, your behavior. So that is really important. And I'm glad you also pointed out that your village doesn't have to be your blood relatives.
Right.
So I'm happy to hear that, and I'm glad that you're saying that for people that are on the live with us or who will see the replay, to say that you can create your own family, and your blood relatives, you can love them from afar, but your close knit village that you need to so you can be mentally well and thrive. You can invest in those relationships and build them
Yep.
up.
And build them
Excuse
up.
me. Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to talk about also, and I mentioned this to you the other day, is with bipolar, how do you also manage your entrepreneurship? Because you wear a lot of hats. How do you balance that to make sure everything is going to be, most important, that you're going to be intact?
Um, I put all my friends to work. I ain't gonna lie, like because I produce, I produce an award show in Atlanta every Sunday called AAMBC Literary Awards, which is a part of Black Writers Weekend, and it's a
Okay.
pretty sizable event to where I need at least 40 people, 40-man crew, helping me in all different types of areas, and I put my team, my friends, in different places that I know they'll be strong in. And so on those particular moments when I'm having to be out in the public, and there are people back to back, they want pictures, they want to talk, or somebody want to be treated like they Hakeem from Coming to America, or whatever the case. Like we have those type of people. My circle is there to hold me down, or to block out whatever's going on when people try to hear up and walk up. I've had people, I can go into a whole nother story of just the BS I've dealt with, but I have people that'll be in place to kind of protect me when I have these public events. Where I can kind of keep a balance and it's not 100 people talking to me at once, because it unfortunately I've had my maybe 2 years where I had like an emotional breakdown, and it was just such a weird moment. And it just came out of nowhere. But it was this lady. It was the very last day of Black Writers Weekend, and she came up and asked for another picture. And this was like the very last event, and I had took about 100 pictures, and I'm not even exaggerating. That's probably just undercutting it. But I remember her. She kept asking for a picture, and at that point, I just wanted to be left alone. I just want to sit down and just. And when she asked for the picture, she was trying to hurry up and get her phone together. I had to turn around really quick because all of a sudden, my face was just wet, and I was just crying, and it was just coming, and I couldn't control it because it was just a lot of people. And when
Right.
you have bipolarism like and dealing with a lot of personalities and having to, keep myself leveled and calm, and I have my people that that know that okay, Mika need a break. Okay, take over here. I have my people in place, and in that moment, I had 3 friends that were close by. They was like in the swift moment, they just got me up out of there and just left. So I have my people in place. I'm smart in that sense because all of my other work is digital, so I don't have to really deal with a lot of people's energy when it
Yeah.
comes to my bipolarism. But when it comes to like even juggling different projects, multitasking emails and communication, I'm also a Gemini, so I'm able to tap into all of my little crazy people, and I'm getting work done. I'm good at my work. My work is what I'm great at. It'd be the other stuff where I have to really work on. But also in my work with like even with my publishing company, I had to learn how to not be so giving too. So
Okay.
even though I'm good with making things happen, you have to be mindful of the people again you allow in your space, business wise. They have
Yes.
to be pouring into you with their time, their energy, and they have to be genuine good people. And again, I'm not from Atlanta, from Texas, so I still treat greet everybody with howdy. I'm still I'm still like this, this like a ditzy, individual. At the end of the day, I still don't do the labels. I don't really get that. Like the industry still kind of just puts me off. And so I came across people that just were not who they said they were. And
Mhm.
even with my publishing company, I ended up having like 30 writers on my roster who wouldn't even do a book signing, who wouldn't even do an interview, and then complain about their royalty checks being small, or Tamika is doing this and doing that. And it reminds you, I have my own books. So I'm
Right.
on the road too. So when I'm on the road, they expect for their books to be with me, and I'm selling, I'm pushing their books. And it was just a lot of things that I had to learn to not just be so, yes. Okay, I'm gonna boost you up. I'm gonna boost you. Like people have to kind of just earn it. And you
Yeah.
gotta put them through the process of earning it. Because when they don't, not only do they not appreciate it, but they're gonna use you.
Well, that's going to be a point where I'm going to say something a statement that I've said many times, and I know it's to be true. We teach people how to treat us. And a
Yeah,
lot of times
that's good.
when you're shifting from being a very no boundaries, giving, loving person, and people just say, "Oh, I can go to Amika. She'll do this. She'll give me that. Everything will be fine." And then when redefine who you are and you start setting boundaries,
You start saying no.
you have to, because
Yeah,
what's more important than their feelings being hurt is that your health is more important.
way more important.
And then you have to teach people it's a new day. When I say no, it's a firm no, and
It's
it
a
means
firm no.
no,
It
and
means no.
that's it.
And
And
that's
then
it.
people have to learn to be accountable to themselves. So as I
Yep.
even hear you saying about they don't want to promote their own book, How they make it? How they figure they get money? They don't want to promote their own book
because they were under my brand, and they saw the things I did for myself. But that's what I did for me. Like
right,
it's not the same. Like it's, I've talked about this before. When writers go and seek a publisher, it's the same as when a music artist goes to a record label. Like a record label, they will invest in you, and then as the artist, you still got to do your shows, your interviews, your
right,
tours, and then the record company has to earn what they put out because you are an investment. Like,
right,
what do we not understand about this process?
right,
For me, this is like 1 + 1 = 2. Like,
right,
come on. So it's like in business. I want to encourage creatives. If you're seeking that route, whether it's music, film, publishing, you got to do your part, folks. You got to
right.
treat the things that you create. They are your babies. And so, if why would you not want to take care and nurture your baby and then tell the world about your baby? It's
Because
not
they
us
had
or
you.
right.
They
It's
had. This is what I'm going back to you because I want you to say maybe you need to put in your contract that
I
they have to
did.
be.
No,
Oh,
that is the crazy thing about it. Answer. I did. I put it in my contract for you are required to do this. You are required to do that. And then when they don't do it, well, you just reneged on your contract. But
right,
if you're not doing anything, it's still not going to sell. Like it still has to sell for something to manifest so we can get our investment back, people. So, Grant, I've had to deal with a lot of
God
disappointment
bless you.
and sadness quietly because everybody got these Twitter fingers. Everybody think because they have social media that they can just go out and say anything, and then it's true.
Right,
But then there's no accountability. Like, what are we doing here, people? Like, I feel like we have to learn to just be better people
right,
and treat ourselves better and treat ourselves with kindness. Be genuine,
right,
be authentic. Like, what is something going on with us sometimes? Like, granted, there is that generational curse. And granted, we have those triggers and things because of things that have been done to us. But then where's the accountability? When are we going to start saying, I'm wrong? I should have never did that, or I should have did better, or I should have done this. Or like where's the accountability in that part, or where's the ownership? And I think when we get to that part, that's another part of healing. That's another part of being and discovering a better you is by
right,
saying, you know what, I messed up. Or you know what, yep, I did this. And this is hand up to the sky. This is why I don't jump into, romances so quickly. Like I don't want to be liable for things. Let's get to know and let's have an argument or be mad at me for a little bit and let me see how you treat me or vice versa or etc. Let's just grow with each other and see if we want to keep being around each other because that's really
right.
what it's all about.
I
So
seen a.
just,
I've seen a
just kind
lot
of
of
get
people.
to know yourself, folks.
Yeah, I've seen a
Kind of
lot of
good.
people. Um, it used to be something maybe kind of funny, but it's very true in terms of people dating themselves, taking yourself, show yourself what dating looks like. Taking yourself to an expensive restaurant. Well, it's hard to do that during a pandemic now, but
Right.
you
I think
know,
that,
you
and I think that's becoming having conversations about yourself. And
right,
if you can't afford a therapist, let's talk about that part because people are like, well, I don't have insurance, I can't afford it. Well, there are other options, things like this, right? The conversations. Let's start having the conversation first. Then there are all sorts of podcasts and books and YouTube clips and things like that. Just like you'll
right,
go online and look up that recipe to cook that meal that you want to cook, or you'll go and you'll do exercise at home so you can understand what stretches and things to do. You need to go and find other strategies and ways to understand this and start having a conversation about this.
right. So let me just plug. Thank you for mentioning. Let me just plug those. So a lot of times when moms reach out to me, private message or on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, one of my go-tos has always been Psychology Today. Psychology Today is a great resource. I know there's several different databases, and I'm currently working on one for the PAM project. Um, but Psychology Today has an amazing filter. It allows you to put your zip code in, the type of insurance you have, and it'll give you a listing of therapists in your area. So that is the one that I always highly recommend. And for those who don't have insurance, currently now, well, I know New York, I don't know about other states, but there's a lot of 8100 numbers that you can call and speak to someone, right? And I mentioned it early on back in April. Even for myself, my anxiety was so high. New York had an 844 number, and I called twice. And I mean, my anxiety was, it was beyond, I was not going outside. And I spoke to a therapist. I think the first one was in Albany, New York. And then I spoke to another therapist in Queens, and they were all volunteers because everybody at this moment are dealing with a lot, and we're
Yeah.
experiencing something that none of us have ever experienced before. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, Psychology Today, look into 8100 numbers. People with suicidal thoughts. There's tons of nonprofits that have volunteers
Yeah.
working. One of my partners for the last 5 years is NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Normally, every July, I partner with them, and I do workshops with them promoting Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and have these discussions. And as you know, the reason why this is also happening is because I can't stop doing the work, even though we're in a pandemic. So the conversations have to be on social media. But normally I would do a community forum or a wellness symposium or something to that effect. But NAMI is free. They don't do one-on-one. They do group counseling, but sometimes it's a start. And I'm mentioning them also because 3 years ago there was a mom from Georgia also who reached out to me, and she was going through a lot, and her daughter was battling with a mental illness, and so her mental health was triggered by how to care for her daughter, and her daughter was taking medication.
Right.
And I know that she explained to me in helping her to get help for her and her daughter that I think she was in Cobb County, that you have to pay into the insurance or something like that, and she didn't have the money, and so I was able to connect her with NAMI in Georgia, and she was able to go to a couple of their group sessions that where she was able to meet other parents who were going through what she was going through. And she was so happy. She was like, I thought I was going through this by myself. I thought what I was experiencing was unique. And for her to say that, you know, just being in a room with other people where she didn't feel like a bad mom or like she was failing her children, was a blessing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing
I've done the same thing with I created
with
a
NAMI,
yeah, well not with new I actually want to look into that group because I wasn't aware of them.
okay,
But I created a creative wellness group that we met up every Wednesday, and we it was like a certain topic. So it was like it was a healing class that we use writing as far as a form of therapy. And so every week there'd be a different theme or our concepts, and we would talk about it within a group setting, and then we would have a writing exercise. And I actually led that class up until last summer, and it was coming. I actually had a home for it. This year we were going to do it every year, and I was going to begin to kind of build it out and make it be like a series of classes, because
okay,
again, people don't go to therapy, or people don't, they don't even take their time out to do it. And creatives have a lot of us have mental illness. This is why we create. We're trying to find a way to kind of get it out of us.
right,
um, and a lot of us, a large amount of us deal with mental illness in different ways. And so I wanted to create that space specifically for us, so
mm-hmm.
that they can connect with other creators, who were, lost and didn't know how to express themselves. And I started it by trying to kind of like with an acting class, because I'm also going into acting, and acting became therapeutic. because identifying an emotion and trying to act it out and understand it. Wow, that blew me out the out the water. I was like, oh wait a minute, I love this. Like it was just. I was able to kind of understand and kind of get in tune with different emotions, and I want to take that into a writing space. And so, with post COVID, I can't wait. I'm bringing it back because I think it's needed.
Listen, I'm loving everything that you're doing, but I hope you don't put one too many things on your plate because
I know.
I'm hearing a lot of stuff.
I
So
know.
we're gonna I'm so grateful for this conversation. I'm thankful that you agreed to come on and be so transparent and share. And I hope that people stop watching this and walk away feeling as if therapy is not a bad thing.
Right.
That therapy is a tool that can be used towards their journey to be mentally well, to their journey to healing past traumatic experiences. And I want to open it up. I'm looking on the comments. I see Miss Taylor is making a lot of comments, but if anyone has any questions for the next few moments that we can answer, please. Thank you for coming on. I'm seeing she's saying thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for us as we wrap up? I'm just appreciative, and as I said before, I've been doing these interviews for the last going on 6 years now of interviewing Black mothers and hearing their stories of mental health and their wellness. And you point out something that is very true. A lot of people have become authors by and using publishing books. I'll say this: publishing books as a way of healing, being able to share their story. Yeah, it's. I don't know if some of your clients have gone that route, but I do remember there was one woman from North Carolina. She was molested by her uncle, and she had to. Well, she didn't have to, but she did let her family know that she was going to publicly share that experience. You
Right.
know, this whole. Sometimes we have to have to give families, relatives a heads up. I'm getting ready to share our dirty laundry because that's a thing in our community that we whatever's done in private, we need to keep private. We don't tell our business and all of that. And the people that are the have been experiencing trauma are the ones that need to openly share
Right.
and don't have the opportunity or don't share because they feel loyal. They will be disloyal to their family members if they share their own experiences, which is a disservice to them. And she when she reached out to me in the PAM page, she shared with me that I told my uncle what I was going to do, and my mom, whatever. Some people were upset about it, but she said she didn't tell them as to get their permission. It was as a
Right.
heads up. She said she was still going forward and
Right.
publish the book because the book was really for her. And
It's her
so,
story. It's her journey. Yep.
yeah. And so I am really grateful also for the role that you play in helping other people tell their stories.
Yep.
So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Um, but do your kids, oh, someone asked the question, are your kids getting therapy?
Absolutely. Yes. They've
Okay.
done their solo sessions and they still have their sessions, and we've done group family sessions. So yes.
Okay, good, good. How was that been? That was a good question. I'm glad I looked and saw that. How were they receptive in the very beginning?
No, I mean, no, because they don't really get it. And it's like you're trying to force me to talk about it at this point in time. So none of them really get it. So which is why we kind of branched out and had let them have their own little solo sessions. And just for them to kind of keep the conversation going and connect with their therapist and kind of go from there. It has helped because it helps conversations in our house be a little bit more open. Um, it has definitely helped with my own vulnerability with my own children. So
Okay.
yes, they don't. It's not as impactful with them because again, they're children. They still don't know who they are. So it's more so just keeping that dialogue open and having that safe space for them there if something is wrong or if there is some frustration or want to talk about some things, a trigger or something like that. So, and it's something I'm going to keep them in probably until I don't have no more insurance until I'm gone, because it's like bathing or eating. It's not something you really should stop because you feel like you're better, because there's
Right.
nothing really technically wrong with you. Like it's things that you just need to polish and understand so that you can be a better version of you.
Right.
So yeah, so I think you just kind of have to go into it with that thought process and stick with it, because there's so many different levels to it. I'm on the other side of healing. But just because I'm healing doesn't mean that there are things around me that I still have to adjust to. I still have to
Hmm.
communicate, convey, or get it back on track. It's forever changing, because life doesn't stand still.
Right.
Always going to be something else to tackle, something else new to get to know. And as being a mother, now I'm about to be a mother of a grown woman. I don't know how to do that either. So I guess I would still be, processing that,
Right.
and still, still growing and learning, and that's it. And still challenging myself in my creative spaces, and hopefully, soon I can challenge myself in love. I just don't want to do it yet. Just don't want
It's
to do
your
it.
life. You can take your time when you're ready. That's the thing of
I know.
you being aware, being self-aware is saying, you know what, let me stick in this lane for a little bit longer until I'm
Yeah,
ready.
that's a little bit. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. That don't
Don't.
mean I don't date. I definitely date and have fun, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't do.
But
I
on
don't.
your terms.
Yeah.
But
And
that
and
is
I'm honest. I'm honest too. I'm not like a man eater or nothing like that. So I don't want people to think, oh, she out there getting it. Yeah, I am. But honestly, I honestly.
I love it. I love it. I think that just celebrating who you are,
Yeah.
and being self-aware and honoring yourself. That's most important before anything else. There's a phrase that goes, you should not be inconvenienced at the luxury of other people. And
Right.
so, like
I like
you're
that saying.
inconvenient. Yes, it is big because when you think about it, it's like when you uncomfortable, everybody around you is happy. Like, what's wrong with this picture?
Like, I want mothers to get out of that space. Like, we can be happy too.
Right,
Like, you can have what you want too. And that, like, you have to communicate that with your children, your spouse, your parents, whatever. But it's not fair. Like,
right.
we
It's
should
not
not have to go through life just sticking with it, or just putting our feelings and things that we want to do to the side so that everybody else can be all right. No,
yeah. It's a
no.
new
Find
day.
your happy too. You need to be happy right now too. Because when your kids get older and grown, now here you go, a little bit more seasons, and you just at the start line because you put everything off.
Right,
Stop that.
right,
No. Find a
right,
balance. Find a really good, healthy balance and do it all, because you go get your hair done. You go get your nails and your toes done too. So if you have time to carve out an hour or 3 hours or whatever to get your hair done, then you can put that towards something that you want to do, or you can take a class here and there, or whatever the case may be.
right.
But pour something into you too. But do not let things pass you by and then you mad and then you angry or you somewhat bitter. But then nobody tell you to push yourself to the side. Well, maybe somebody did, but you chose to do that.
Yeah, it's always a choice. And the thing
It's
is,
always a choice. It may not be an easy choice. And remind you again, for me to design the life that I've wanted, I've had to sacrifice a lot of things. This is not easy. However, I sleep good at night.
yeah,
I'm
I
good.
think a lot of a lot of mothers, no one tells them, but that mother guilt, being a caregiver, you just that's how we as women and young girls, we grow up saying this is the role of a mother. There's
Yep.
even though there's no manual, you just like, well, this is what I'm expected
That's
to
what
do.
we was taught to do. Was
This is what,
expected
yeah.
to.
And so until you can reprogram or unlearn certain
Yeah.
mindsets that say, this is not right. The same way I mentioned
It's not
earlier about
fair. You have
the,
feelings.
yeah,
And they
being
take
strong.
being
What
that
does
being
strong look
strong
like?
thing. Nah, it's nah. No.
Yeah.
Get
So,
upset, get mad. So, get an attitude. For you, fight for you.
right. It's very important.
Yeah, it's very
So,
important.
yeah, I think that, again, I'm really, really happy for this. It's being shared on the PAM Project page as well as on YouTube. And whoever registered to join us in this space. And I'll be sharing it out as well, for the next couple of days for Minority Mental Health, where BB Campbell's, correct myself, BB Campbell National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So people need to understand the importance of sharing our testimonies and letting people know vulnerably how you are doing or not doing. And the new strong is asking for help so you
Yep.
can be mentally and physically well. And there's no shame and seeking out a professional therapist. And if you don't have the means, some therapists are more open than they have before due to the pandemic, so they have sliding scales. Ask them. No, they all have to eat, so don't expect free services. But shop around, and until you get what you need. But don't suffer in silence. Don't feel that you're alone. If you don't have the ability to afford to pay for a therapist, reestablish those relationships, as you said, as Tamika had mentioned earlier. Invest in your relationships, build up your village, let people know what you're dealing with. Do not be at home trying to make it all look good by yourself. Let somebody know, I need help. And so this is going to wrap up this PAM talk today, but I thank you so much for your transparency, sharing your story. And I know that you are going to inspire so many people after this talk to look into Psychology Today and all those Black women-led podcasts that are available and the databases that are available. If you're seeing this on a replay, please share it out. If you want more information of the resources, I'm glad to help, and you can private message me and I will share links with you. Speaker, do you want to mention the name of the private practice in Atlanta that was helpful to you? Do you want to give
Oh,
them a shout out?
it's Atlanta Psychotherapy. And it's off of Camp Creek in Camp Creek area.
Okay.
But it's called ATL Psychotherapy and Wellness Center or something like that. But it's
Awesome.
ATL Psychotherapy and Wellness Center.
Great.
My last advice too is be patient, you guys.
Mm,
It's like it's going to be frustrating, and then also just like with dating somebody, you may mess up, you may do something to hurt their feelings. So in therapy, you may backslide a little bit. You may not be as consistent, or you may not feel like going this week. It's okay, but get back on it. Just stay with it. Stay with the process. Cry it out. Be frustrated, but be patient because the only other option is what you're currently feeling. And if you don't want to keep staying like this, you got to put in the work for things to change. So just be patient.
I thank you so much for adding that part in there. Because a lot of people will beat themselves up and will feel, well, I didn't do it right or whatever. And
Right.
so I thank you for mentioning that. And even simpler than that, learn to breathe. Inhale, be present with yourself,
I think that
practice.
deep breath reminds you that there's life in you.
Yes,
Like it's
take deep
okay.
breaths.
This is
Hmm.
life. It's okay. Breathe it out.
Yeah, that has
Now
been,
talk.
yeah. And if
Now digest.
meditation takes you a minute, you can journal your thoughts.
Yeah.
Anything to shift your thought process, to take a moment and shift your focus on writing out how you're feeling. Those are two of my favorite things to do. In addition to going to the park, I take walks. I'm not
Yeah.
running, but while the weather is so nice, I'm not up to your speed, Mika. But I take walks. I go where I can see the water. I'm in Manhattan, so the East River or
Nice.
Central Park, and just enjoy the fresh air and be grateful. There are people, so many people passed away because they had to utilize the use of a machine to breathe. So
Yeah.
to be able to breathe on your own and just put your hand to your chest and say, that's something. Be grateful for
Yeah.
that. Start
Be
with
grateful for
small
that
things
part.
to be grateful for. And so someone said they're on Long Island. Okay. And so as we wrap up, each and every day, if you see the sunrise, if you're blessed to see a new day, start with that. Be grateful for that. And just everything else after that has to be gravy, you
Yep.
know. But just be grateful for a new day and the luxury of breathing on your own.
Mhm.
So I thank you for everybody that's watching. I thank everybody that's going to watch this on the replay. I really would appreciate if you share it out, that you can be a part of empowering our community to talk more about mental health and wellness and getting to a place of healing. Peace and blessings to you. And thank you so much, Tamika, for sharing your journey. And don't take on too many projects.
I'm gonna try not to. I space them out. I space them out.
All right. But as long as you got your village in your corner, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned even in that sense the hard way. So,
Let
but,
people help
but
you.
y'all go check out Black Writers Weekend as well. It's like that's my baby. Every summer we do the festival in Atlanta. So we will be coming back next summer. So Black Writers
Say
Weekend.
say it again so they can hear. I didn't hear the plug.
Black Writers Weekend. So the
Okay.
website is blackwritersweekend.com. It's Black Writers Weekend on Instagram, even on Twitter, even on Facebook. And so we're doing our virtual conference on in next month, but we will be back in Atlanta with the Full Out Festival and Award Show next summer. And I want to say it's June 10th through the 14th of 2021. So yeah.
Okay, great. So, in saying that, where can they learn more about you? Is there, if they want to
Oh
write?
yeah. If you want to write, if you want to write, you can go to delphineLegacyMedia.com, and Delphine is DELPHINE, Legacy Media. And everything is my name, which is TamikaNewhouse.com, as you see on the screen here. So that's my website, it's Instagram, it's Twitter. I also have a new romance book out called Sugar Hill.
Oh,
So I'll go and check that out. But part two will be coming out this fall. So yeah, TamikaNewhouse.com and DelphineLegacyMedia.com and BlackWritersWeekend.com.
she has a full plate. But what's most important is that her self-care game looks a lot different now. So,
Yeah, it does. So I'm a lot better now. I'm good. I'm a lot better.
thank you so much, Tamika.
Thank you, my ladies. I appreciate you.
Ah, and you too. So, as I just mentioned, the PAM Project, the acronym, which is Preserve a Mom, sole mission is to promote mental health and wellness for Black mothers. We are doing that for the month of July, but our campaign for the rest of the year is encouraging moms to redefine what healthy and happiness looks like. If you are interested in sharing your story with the PAM Project, please let me know. Send me an email to preserveamom@gmail.com. I will provide you with the information so we can start the process of an interview. I would love to learn more about you and how you are redefining what mental health and wellness looks like. Most importantly, what healthy and happiness looks like to you on your terms. So again, I appreciate you being on this live. If you're watching the replay, please share it out. Use this talk to start a conversation with those in your village, your inner circle, and so you can start to have conversation about mental health and wellness, so that you can get to a place where you are better on your terms and thriving. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much. Good night.